Hello everyone, it's Nell with Little Yellow House Crafts. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're here in the States. If you're not, then I hope you had a great stitchy week. My Thanksgiving was great. We spent it with family and it was wonderful. So a good time to reflect on our blessings and be grateful for what we have, and yeah, it was wonderful. And I got a lot of stitching done. My husband took the whole week off of work, so I had help with the boys during the day, which gave me a little extra stitching time, and that was wonderful. So let's get into this. I have a lot to talk about. So without further ado, I don't want this video to be forever long, but first I just have to point out I'm in a new space. This is my husband's study slash my craft room. So you can't see, but behind me I have my desk where I do all my crafting, and I just want to point out here on the wall is Thor. He keeps me company while I stitch. Inside joke, my brother-in-law didn't draw, but colored this for me for Christmas a couple years ago. Inside joke, but yes, I love Thor. Who doesn't? Thor. Anyway, and then here on my right, you can see some of my cross-stitch stash. So you can see my threads and some of my fabric there and some of my kitted up projects. Down here I have a couple scroll frames that I never use. I hate scroll frames, and I have 3 of them in all different sizes. I really should give those away, right? I don't use them, and I know people really love them, so I should do that. And then some extra DMC that... Anyway, I reorganized my floss, so I have a bag of extras. And there's some more stuff down lower, but you can't see it. So, welcome to my craft room slash my husband's office. But yeah, let's get into it. November was a good month for me. I got a lot of stitching done. I had 4 new starts, 3 of which became finishes, and 1 that is in timeout. I don't know. We have to talk about that. So yeah, let me show you what I did. First, my new starts. I did 2 and 3 of the Brooks Books Advent Animals, because remember I had finished number 1, and I showed you that in my last video. That was Katie Kitty. And then here's number 2, Peter Polar Bear. I love Coco. And I know I pointed this out last time, but for those of you who are stitching these, I did the border in cross stitch a little bit thicker, so if it looks different than yours, that's probably why. I didn't change anything else. So yeah, there's Peter Polar Bear for December 2nd, and then December 3rd, we have Mary Mouse, and she is just the cutest. She's my favorite. Of course she is. She's the ballerina in her little Sugar Plum Fairy tiara and tutu and green point shoes. Oh, she's so cute. I love it. So those are my first 2 new starts and also finishes. And just in case you're wondering, there's a couple other YouTubers out there who have kind of expressed interest, but this is open to everybody. If you're stitching these, I welcome you to stitch them with me. This is how I'm doing it. So if you want to join in, feel free. I wanted to get the first 3 done by the end of November, which I've done, which leaves me 2 a month for every month between now and October of 2016. So 2 in December, 2 in January, 2 in February, blah, blah, blah. And then the last 2, 24th and 25th, will be in October. There might only be 24. I'm not sure if she's doing a countdown to Christmas Eve or a countdown to Christmas Day. Advent calendars differ in that way. Whether she does 24 or 25, that I should get them done by October, which leaves me 1 month, the month of November 2016, to get them finished up and ready for December 1st to start the Advent. So that's what I'm doing. So if you want to join me, feel free. The first 4 or 5 need to be done by the end of this year, and then about 2 a month. Through 2016. So I'm not going to go into great detail right now about my plans for 2016, but that is one of them, is continuing my Advent animals so that they're ready for next Christmas. So join me if you want to stitch them. My next new start and also my next finish, and guys, I'm really proud of this. If you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen this. Oh, by the way, I got a stitching Instagram. More about that later. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen this, but I did finish Autumn Blessings by Imaginating. end here. It's turning really yellow. I hate it when it does that in the lighting. Maybe if I hold it back, that's a little better. It says, count your blessings and give thanks. Yay! It's done. This stitched up relatively quickly. Guys, I didn't start this until like the 1st of November, and I got it done. This was my goal, was to have it done by Thanksgiving, and it got done the day before Thanksgiving. I finished. So it's a pretty quick stitch, and it's just so cute. And also, I'm not entirely happy with this, but I did my first attempt at a signature, and it's really hard to tell what that is. I don't love it. So I think I'm gonna keep fiddling until I find a signature I like better. But it's my initials J, that's supposed to be a cursive J, even though it looks like a backwards B, and then C, because my name is Janelle Cunningham, even though I go by Nell, and then 15 for the year I stitched it. I don't love it. I like that it kind of looks like a butterfly, but I also think it looks kind of wonky, and you can't tell that it's supposed to say JC, and I'm just not sure. And I might go with an N instead of a J since I go by Nell. I haven't decided yet. My monogram, my signature is still a work in progress, but that is done. And that was my 3rd new start and my 3rd finish for the month. So this was a productive month for me. It was really good. However, the millstone around my neck, my 4th new start, did not get very far, and we are on the outs currently. This was my start to the 12 Days of Christmas freebie by Plum Street Samplers. That's it. That's all I did. And the reason is, I can't work on this fabric. We did figure out what it was. Thank you all for helping me figure out what this was. It turns out it's Hardanger fabric. It's 22 count Hardanger, which, more about that later. I now am very familiar with what Hardanger fabric looks like. We'll talk about that later. But I can't use this for this project. I can't use this for cross stitching. It's just so aggravating. First of all, I don't know what was going on with my Q-snaps. I've never had a problem with Q-snaps holding tension. I use everything in them. Aida, linen, even weave, all different kinds of even weave, and I've never had any problem with it holding tension. Never. This, I swear this fabric is stretchy, and it's probably because of the way it's woven with 2 threads, and the threads are like this, not like this, if that makes sense. They're woven together as one piece, and so it's almost just like a straight up even weave, like 1 thread, 1 thread, 1 thread, 1 thread, but it's done with 2. And I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I swear it was, do you see my thumb there? Do you see how it's almost like stretchy? Oh my gosh, you guys. It was so aggravating. I could not get it to hold tension. And the other thing is, I don't know how those of you do it who stitch 1/1 on your Mirabilias and your Nora Corbetts and stuff when you're doing your ladies and their skin, because I get that like there's a way you can stitch so that your stitches don't get lost under the warp or the weft or whatever the heck it is. I was losing stitches like you wouldn't believe, and it was driving me bonkers. I don't know if you can tell, but on this side, do you see how wonky and weird those stitches look compared to the ones on the top? That's because every other stitch was sliding under the fabric threads. It was, and it was so tiny. It's 22 count, and it was so tiny, and after like a day of working on it, I was like, never will I attempt to cross stitch on Hardanger fabric. Done. So that was my new start on the 12 Days of Christmas. I do have a piece of linen now to do it on. Just a nice, I think it's a tea-dyed linen, so it's kind of an antique linen look, which is in keeping with what I was hoping for and in keeping with the pattern. So this one will get done, but I don't think it's going to get done this year. Every Sunday I still print out the new patterns that she releases, but let's just say that one, anyway. So there you go. Those are my 4 new starts. And then my one whip is my Santa, and he's on the big frame, so I apologize. But here's where I am. I got a lot done on this. I finished all of Santa, reindeer, and all of the sleigh, and I backstitched everything except the very bottom edge of the sleigh because I need to fill in all of the background stitches before I backstitch there. And then obviously I haven't backstitched anything on the background, but it's all backstitched, which is an enormous load off my back. This is the first time I've ever tried backstitching as I go, and oh my goodness, the pressure is gone. Like, I don't have this thing hanging over my head where I kind of dread finishing the project because I know I'm gonna have to go back and backstitch the whole thing. I'm doing it like this forever. This is the best idea ever. So thank you guys. But yeah, this is where I am. All of this gold is backstitched. This is something I changed. It was charted. Some of it was charted to be backstitched and some of it was charted to be couched. And I changed it to all backstitch for 2 reasons. 1, I hate couching. I hate it. It drives me crazy. And 2, because this is going to be a little child's Christmas stocking. And I want them to be able to like take it off the mantle and like hold it and play with it and look at it. This is not a hands-off kind of project. This is for my son, and I want him to love it and play with it. And couching, can't you just imagine the little kid like, ooh, that's pretty, pick, pulls it off. I don't even want to imagine. So I just changed it all to backstitching. Simpler, and I prefer backstitching. So it's kind of hard to tell, but it's all done in beautiful metallics and it's really gorgeous. All of that. And then yeah, I've started on the background. There's really not much left. I think I'll be able to get this done in another week or 2, and then I'll finish it up. And I will have, oh, this is a good place for me to say this. I will have fairly soon 2 finishing videos for you guys. The first one will be a finishing video on how I do all my wall hangings. When I do this one, I'm going to finish this one into a wall hanging. Excuse me, like I've done before. And a lot of people have asked to see them. I know Carolyn Mazzeo, or Mazzeo, I'm not sure how she pronounces it. She did a tutorial, or at least a demonstration, how she did her wall hanging of her purple Easter eggs. And that one's great. I do it a little differently. So I figured I'll put mine up there too. And if you like one, do that one. If you like the other, do it that way. I'm going to show how I do it. I do mine with a little bit of batting, or if you're from the UK, I think you guys call it wadding, the fluffy stuff in the middle. I do mine with a little bit of that, just like I do with my stockings. And I do it all with one big piece. This is getting ahead of myself. Just know there are 2 finishing videos coming, one for the wall hangings and one for my quilted stockings, which you guys have seen, and a lot of people have asked to see a finishing video. So those are coming, but those are scary. Doing a tutorial is hard. There's so many things you have to edit together, but it's coming. It's coming. So that's it for new starts and finishes and whips. Let's talk about a few other things. First, Instagram. I'm on Instagram now. Well, I've always been on Instagram. Now I have a stitching Instagram. An Instagram just devoted to my stitching, and I try to do kind of daily stitching updates when I am stitching. And so every evening I'll post a picture of what I did that day. Not every evening, but a lot of evenings. And so you can kind of follow along with me if you want. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's been fun. It's been really fun to finally get on and kind of start following some other stitchers on Instagram and get to see what they're all working on. Oh my goodness. What is that? My hair. So yeah, I'm on Instagram, and my Instagram name, title, tag, handle, my Instagram handle I don't know what you call it. It's just Little Yellow House Crafts, just like my YouTube channel. Little Yellow House Crafts, no spaces. So look for me on there if you want to follow my daily stitching. If not, then do. I won't be offended. So that's the first thing. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes because for the first time since I started FlossTube, I actually had to like write notes. I had so many things to talk about. This is weird, guys. Okay, next. Let's talk about a couple of plans for December. I would really love to, well, I wouldn't really love, I need to finish my stocking. So that is high priority. That one is top of my list, and I think that will get done no problem. I also need to get 2 more Advent Animals done, which will be fine. I can stitch that up in, 4 or 5 days. They stitch really quickly for me, and with the, I don't have a huge amount, sorry, I'm not picking my nose, I swear, my nose itches. Sorry. I lost my train of thought. Brooks Books Advent Animals. So they stitch it pretty quickly for me, and with the amount of time I have to stitch per day, I think it'll take me about 5, maybe 6 days to get those 2 done. Other than that, I don't have a lot of plans to finish out the year. So if I can finish all 3 of those things that are my goals, to finish my stocking and my Advent Animals, then I'm going to allow myself a new start. And right now I'm debating between 'Twas the Night by Sue Hillis, which I see a lot of you guys working on. Carolyn's working on it right now. I think there's 1 or 2 other people working on it on some of the Facebook groups, so you probably have seen it before. I showed it in my last video. So that will either be my new start, 'Twas the Night, or I'm thinking I'm going to start my Heirloom Nativity Sampler by the Victoria Sampler. Now, the story of this project. Let me grab it. Sorry, I don't have it. Ooh. Hello. Hello. Here it is. Hello, friends. All right. Apologies for not being prepared. I have had this pattern for years, probably 7 years now, and I've never started it, even though I love it. And there's a couple reasons for that, but the biggest reason, the Hardanger. The Hardanger at the bottom. Mentally, I could not, until now, I'm going to tell you more about this, I could not get over that hurdle. It was like this insurmountable barrier mentally, was this piece of Hardanger down here. And because you do the Hardanger last, so by the time you get to there, you've already put a ton of work into this, and it's beautiful. And not only have you put a lot of work into this, but you put a lot of money into this, because the accessory pack, there's 2 accessory packs, a white one and all of the colored ones with all of the silks and all the specialty threads. This right here, guys, just by itself, some of you who have done Victoria Sampler pieces are like nodding your head. This is like $50 for this tiny little bag of stuff, because it's got beads and specialty threads and charms and treasures and all sorts of goodies, which is great. But by the time you get to the Hardanger portion at the bottom of the project, you've invested so much time and so much money into this project, and the thought of cutting my fabric sends a chill up my spine, or at least it did until recently. And also, until recently, there's specialty stitches in these bands of white going down the project, and so until FlossTube, really, oh, and also specialty stitches in the colored, like, rainbow, there it is, right there. Until recently, those scared me as well. Then I started watching FlossTube, and y'all made me feel much better about specialty stitches, because most people who try them for the first time say that they're actually not nearly as scary as they thought. But the Hardanger was a hurdle, and I just couldn't get over it. So I started watching 2 particular FlossTubers. first one is Mrs. Milky Bar Kid in the UK, who is like the guru of all counted thread gurus. She does everything. She does cross stitch, she does Hardanger, she does drawn thread, pulled thread, whatever. I don't know if those are the same thing or if they're different names for the same thing. Drawn thread and pulled thread work. Can someone answer that question for me? Anyway, she knows everything. And she hasn't done as many videos recently, but she did do a video a couple months back about Hardanger and the stuff you need to get started with Hardanger. And the way she was explaining it, she didn't demonstrate anything, but the way she was explaining it made it seem a lot less scary. And I'll go ahead and link the video I'm talking about of hers down in the description box so you can watch it if you want, if you haven't seen it yet. And that got me to thinking, well, that doesn't seem too scary. And then down underneath her video, as I'm watching it, in the suggested videos, popped up all of these videos from a stitcher who I was already subscribed to. And, pardon me for a moment. Oh, by the way, Mrs. Milky Bar Kid, her name is Amanda, and she's great. This was a woman named Nina, and her channel is called Stitching with a Smile. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to try Hardanger and are afraid of it, go to her channel. She has like a series of 15 videos where she goes through and she stitches a piece of Hardanger bit by bit on camera, explaining everything she does. She teaches you how to do the cluster blocks or closter blocks. I'm not sure the correct way to pronounce that. How to do the blanket stitch around the edge if you're doing a piece of Hardanger that you actually cut out in a shape. She teaches you, well, she doesn't teach you, but she shows you the satin stitch motifs. She actually shows you on camera how to cut your Hardanger and pull the threads. She shows you how to do woven bars and dove's eyes and a whole bunch of other stuff. You guys, I watched all 15 of her videos in one day and it was like, ah, I can try it. It didn't. So sorry. Apparently my phone needs to be cleaned out, so to speak. My memory is short. Anyway, moved that video onto my computer. Let's finish what I was saying. Watching Nina's videos made me feel so much less afraid of Hardanger. It was so much more clearly explained than just reading it in the instructions that come in here or like online. I don't know if maybe I'm a visual, kinetic learner. I need to see someone do it. I need to watch someone do it. I don't know. But oh my goodness. So if you want to try Hardanger, or if you have a pattern like this that you are putting off starting because it has Hardanger in it, go and watch Nina's videos. She's an angel. Hardanger angel. So this is, I think, what I'm going to start. I'm going to start obviously from the top and work my way down. And in the meantime, while I'm working on all of the non-Hardanger stuff, we're going to have what I've decided to title Operation Hardanger 2016. Da, 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 da. This is going to be my attempt to familiarize myself with Hardanger and get more comfortable doing it before I actually have to stitch it on my project. So the plan is to do a bunch of small Hardanger pieces, and I just happen to have this Hardanger fabric that was an absolute fail for me on cross stitching, but I think for Hardanger it'll probably work great since that's what it is. So Mrs. Milky Bar Kid, again going back to Amanda, she in the video that I watched of hers, she had listed a bunch of sites that you could go to for Hardanger, and one of them is Mabel Figworthy, and I know some of you who do Hardanger are very familiar with Mabel Figworthy. This is a lady who does a lot of Hardanger, and every year she does like a stitch along, a sal, where you pay a small subscription fee at the beginning of the year, and then every month for 12 months you get a pattern for a small piece of Hardanger, and by the end you have these 12 pieces, and it's really fun. You can go into her files on her website and you can see photos that people have submitted of their work, and it's really fun. And she has a couple small kits available for beginners where you do these little tiny needle books that are like little matchbooks, and they have these tiny little pieces of Hardanger on them. So that's one option. Another one that Amanda suggested is the Nordic needle, which a lot of people use for their stitching needs anyway, but the Nordic needle has a whole bunch of Hardanger freebies on their site, and they're not necessarily for beginners, but they're free. So what I might do is try one of the simpler ones of those and just start learning some of the stitches. Basically, from what I can see with Hardanger, the hardest thing to learn are the filling stitches, or like the bar work, all the fiddly little bits you do in the area where you've pulled the threads. It seems like the cluster blocks are pretty standard. It seems like, you know, blanket stitch is standard. It seems like all of the motifs, even if they're specialty stitches, they're the same specialty stitches you do on other cross stitch things. So the hardest part looks to be just the bar work, you know, doing the wrapped bars or woven bars, and then things like dove's eyes and other fiddly lacy bits in there. So between now and whenever I finish all of this, hopefully between now and next December, I'm going to work on some smaller pieces of Hardanger, and then finally I may actually try to do this piece of Hardanger, this pattern, on a different piece of fabric. I'm going to practice it once. Or at least get to the point where I feel like everything this pattern asks me to do, I know how to do, and I've tried it before. And then I'll be able to actually finish my Heirloom Nativity Sampler. Yay! So that is Operation Hardanger 2016, and I'm really excited about it because, first of all, it doesn't scare me like it used to. I actually feel like this is something I could accomplish, which, thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Nina, for helping me feel that way, because I wasn't going to feel like that on my own. And then I'm actually really excited to finally get this done. I've had this beautiful pattern and all the stuff sitting in my stash for years, and it's too pretty to not have on the wall anymore. And then also, I love the Victoria Sampler. They have so many beautiful projects, and I want to do more of them. Same with a lot of other designers that do all these beautiful band samplers that have pieces of Hardanger at the bottom. Like, this whole new world of possibilities is opened up if I can just get over this hurdle of the Hardanger. So that is probably going to be a new start in December. Again, I haven't totally decided between 'Twas the Night and this one, because I really want to work on 'Twas the Night as well, but it's a strong possibility, and regardless, Operation Hardanger 2016 is a go. Boom. We're gonna make it happen. I think that was pretty much it. I did have one thing to say. A big thank you to Claire L. Claire, and her YouTube channel is Claire L. She's a very sweet lady from the UK. A thank you to her and another newer floss tuber named Courtney. Courtney EC, I can't read my own handwriting. It's either Courtney ECK or Courtney ECR, because I can't read my handwriting. But a big thank you to them for helping me get over my aversion to variegated flosses. Here's the deal. I don't love variegated or hand-dyed flosses. I know, right? What? I know, well, no, I shouldn't say that's so weird, because I know there's other people who feel that way. Either they're a little too OCD, that it, you know, doesn't match up and it's hard to figure out the colors, or my bigger issue with it, and same thing with hand-dyed fabrics, I think they're beautiful to look at. Don't get me wrong, I think they're gorgeous. But I think a lot of times when I see things stitched on stuff that's like really heavily variegated or really mottled and splotchy, my eyes, I just feel like it distracts from the beautiful stitching. And please don't take offense at this. If you want to stitch on it, great, and I think often it looks gorgeous, but I can't get over that. For me, the fabric should be a background, and I just don't want it to distract. However, Claire and Courtney are slowly convincing me to try variegated flosses again. Now, when I say variegated, I'm not saying like the crazy, you know, blue to pink to green to orange. If you like those, by all means go for it. I know there's some of you who love them and you can make them look fantastic. When I say variegated, I mean like Weeks Dye Works or Country Cottage Needleworks, where it goes from like green to lighter green to green to lighter green. That's the kind of variegated I'm talking about. And Claire and Courtney are both working on some things from Country Cottage Needleworks, which is one of my favorite designers, and I stitch their stuff all the time, but I always swap out their variegated flosses that they call for DMC. And Claire is working on Santa's Village, and Courtney, I think, is working on Santa's Village, and she's also started the Gingerbread Village, or the Gingerbread Train, from Country Cottage Needleworks, and they were showing their projects up close, and it was so beautiful with the variegated. And so, thank you to them for showing that and making me rethink my opinion of variegated floss. I don't think I'm about to jump on the bandwagon with the hand-dyed fabrics as much, but I may start delving into the Weeks dye works and the classic color works and the Gentle Art sampler threads, because that's a variegation that's not as distracting, and it actually looked so pretty. It was so beautiful stitched in those, and it kind of made me go, because I really want to stitch both of those projects, the Santa's Village and the Gingerbread Village, someday. I don't have any of them in my stash, because y'all know I don't buy something till I'm ready to do it. But I really would like to stitch them someday, and they looked beautiful. So, maybe I need to get over my thing. I don't know. Do you guys have any suggestions here? I mean, are there any of you who struggle with this too? I know, like, Mackenzie has talked about, Mackenzie at the Lovely Array, I know she's talked about how for her it was more of like a control freak thing, that it bothered her that she couldn't decide where the colors, the darker and lighter colors, were going to end up and stuff, and I know some other people have had issues with that, but for me it's really just the distract. I don't even know. I don't know what my beef is, but thank you to Claire and to Courtney for expanding my horizons. I don't think I have anything else to talk about. This is plenty long as it is, but thanks for hanging out with me this far. You guys are going to be with me during Project Hardanger 2016. Yay! So thanks for hanging out with me and looking at all my stuff as I show it to my phone. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I will link, how about this? I will link to Amanda, Mrs. Milky Bar Kid, her video. I will link to lesson 1 of Stitching with a Smile, Nina, her first Hardanger lesson, if you're interested in that. And then I'll also link to Claire and to Courtney's YouTube channels, because I think they're both great. And gosh darn it, if they didn't make me want to try variegated floss again. Guys, stop making me want to buy more stuff. Anyway, so that's it. I hope you all have a wonderful stitching month. I will probably see you sometime soonish, hopefully in the next month, with a couple finishing videos. Keep your fingers crossed if I can get those done. If not, I will see you guys towards the end of December when I will go through my actual stitching plans for 2016. I'm actually going to try a rotation next year. And I think I'm going to kind of model it on Carolyn Mazzio's rotation, the way she does it by week and by month. Anyway, I'll go into that more, but I think I'll save that for next video. And yeah, you guys are great. Keep stitching, keep showing me all your beautiful things. I feel like you guys are my friends, even though we've never actually talked to each other in person. When I watch your videos, I'm like, oh, I wonder how she's doing. How are her kids? Oh, look at her cute little dog. Look at her cute cats. I feel like you guys are my friends. So thanks for being my YouTube friends. Cross-stitchers forever. Woohoo! And I'll catch you guys next time, okay? Bye!